Hello, my name's Richard Bloom, and in this very short 7-minute video I hope to cover the basics of what I do with my clients who are experiencing anxiety issues. Now, anxiety is a coping mechanism, a protection system, an avoidance system, and also some form of prediction system when it's connected to worry, which drives anxiety. Now, there's two things I want you to take away from this video. Just two things, if you can just take it away, because my clients who suffer from really serious anxiety, they can't remember anything. The anxiety is overwhelming, stops them thinking and stops them from concentrating. So if you could just take away just two things from this video. Number one, the way I work with my clients is that we are not here to control, to suppress that anxiety. We are here to enable you to make it redundant, unnecessary, not required. So let's look at it another way. This anxiety is a coping mechanism. It's based around your flight and fight systems, and flight and fight systems have been created over thousands and thousands of generations to cope with life, to protect us. They are life protecting systems, and it's really hard to control something that's actually designed to save our life. So we're not here to control it, suppress it, or even manage it. We are here to make it redundant. How do we do that? Well, in simple terms, if you look at the anxiety like a coping mechanism, like a crutch, supporting someone, helping them to get around, that crutch is your anxiety, the fear, the anxiety, the worry, the anxiety, the protection system, the anxiety. We are here to fix the leg. If we do our job properly and fix the leg, then that person, that crutch that person's using is no longer necessary, and they can leave it against the wall to collect dust. So, to summarize, we are not here to take away your anxiety. We are here to make it redundant, unnecessary, not required. The other thing I want to say is that the work that I do, and especially for people who don't want to talk about their problem, who don't want to go on and on and on talking about what they cause their problem and their history, I can do all of my work with you just saying yes and no. Now, I've been doing this for over 30 years and I get tremendous results. I have over 40 5-star reviews on the Bark website alone. And you can review them. I've got a few here you can have a look at. I'll go through them in a minute if you have the time. And they are all about the people who have let go of their anxiety. It's been made redundant. They no longer need it. And it's as if they never had it in the first place. They are waiting for it to happen. They're expecting it to happen in some cases, but it doesn't, because it's literally been made redundant. And that crutch is just collecting dust against the wall. That's number one. Number two, as I said, all of the work we do, it's all done with yes and no. You do not need to talk. You do not need to explain what happened in detail. I can do all my work enabling you to let go of your anxiety just by saying yes and no. This is really good for men who don't want to talk, or for ladies who don't want to talk. And we can work through the whole thing. I've worked with people who signed the Official Secrets Act. They don't want to talk about what happened. They don't want to break this Official Secrets Act. They don't. All they say is yes and no. So that there's no way I'd know where it's happened, who was involved, or whatever. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in their thoughts and how it's affecting their anxiety today. I hope that's given you an overview. On average, we're looking at around 3 to 5 1-hour sessions. It depends on the individual, but that's the average. Each session, as I said, is about an hour long. And I offer a free telephone consultation where you can give me I can give you a buzz. I'll send you a link to my calendar where you can find out exactly a time that suits you, and we can have a talk to see if I'm the right person for you to help you move forward and let go of that anxiety once and for all and forever. So let's go through some reviews together. Here's a review from Carly. Let's just bring it up on the screen. So, I've had multiple sessions with Richard and can't recommend him enough. Richard has helped me with a range of issues that I've never been able to solve through other forms of therapy. So this therapy, this gentle therapy we use, is very, very effective. And even though other people have seen other therapists, we've been able to deal with problems that other therapists haven't been able to work with. It is very effective. Therapy has always been quite frightening to me. but Richard has always ensured everything was on my terms and never pushed me if I wasn't ready. So I always work with your speed. I work with you because everyone is unique as your fingerprint. Everyone's anxiety has different reasons for being there, and we're not here to take it away, because as I said earlier, it's a protection mechanism. It's a system that helps you cope with maybe keeping things away or try to predict what's going to happen, the unpredictable. And we're not here to take away something. We're here to make it redundant, unnecessary, not required. He listened to my needs, helped me accordingly, and I wholeheartedly recommend him for someone who has been unsuccessful with other therapies. And I often do get people who've tried everything, and I am the last port of call, which is so he has quite literally guided me through changing my outlook on life and the events that have occurred. Thanks for all your help, Richard. So that's a nice one. Let's move on to another one. So this is Sakshat Gati. Richard helped me to reduce a laser-focused anxiety. So what's a laser-focused anxiety? It's one that's very specific and only kicks in a specific situation. He'd been dealing with this for 12 years, and in just 3 sessions, we were able to massively reduce that reaction to an extent that he was happy to write this review. The only thing I wish is that I'd started a lot sooner. So I do get at this with people. A lot of people who have been carrying an anxiety for a long time think they only have to cope with it, manage it, suppress it with drugs, like sertraline and other drugs, or cope with it with systems of coping. Whereas we're not here to suppress or cope with an anxiety. We're actually here to enable you to let it go. And so when it's let go, it's as if it was never there in the first place, never happened. And all we are left with sometimes is the expectation that it was going to happen, but it's not. It's not going to happen because we've actually gone back to the underlying belief systems that created it and enable you to let it go. We've made it redundant, unnecessary, not required. His sessions are very relaxing, and one of the great advantages of working with Richard is that he can deal with my issue in just answering yes and no. This is very important when I'm working with people who don't want to talk. Majority of men find it harder to communicate their emotions than women, but and a lot of people find it very hard. And when I'm working with anxiety issues caused by, I've even dealt with massive rape victims, and we're working together. Their anxiety has been caused by trauma. They remain very calm and very, very safe and very, very peaceful all the way through the session, even while we're dealing with these very, very emotive situations. And we deal with it all with yeses and nos. So even if you've signed some sort of security document, I might say, that restricts you from talking to people about whatever it is you've done, you will not break that security document. Why? Because it is we only deal with the emotions and the thoughts. We don't talk about who, what, where, and when. Exactly, it is not important. Maybe roughly to the year, but that's about it. Okay. So I know a lot of people who talk about their problems. Yeah, with Richard, you don't have to. You just answer yes and no. So I think that was important to cover that area. So Minika, I suffer from depression and mood swings. Again, I do deal with a lot of people who experience depression and anxiety. They often come hand in hand. Depression affects people in different ways as everything else. It's always on a spectrum, and some people's depression sadly can cause them to feel suicidal, and I work with them and enable them to be at peace with that. Other feelings of anxiety can cause people to self-harm and cause all sorts of side effects like this. Again, my job is to enable them that self-harming and that suicidal and depression, we deal with all of that with the work we do. We don't leave any of it, any stone uncovered, and also we make sure that you're peaceful and you'll work through this in a very, very gentle way at all times. Richard taught me how to love myself and forgive myself. As with this, I had the biggest problem I learned from our meetings. We had 5 sessions, and I hope I can afford to do this way until I will be totally happy with myself and my life. So we did 5 sessions. She obviously felt a dramatic change. Yes, I say that it's an average of 3 to 5 sessions. Sometimes it can take a bit longer. And she felt, although she's a massive improvement over those 5 sessions, she felt she could do with a few more. From the first session, Richard learned how to control my short temper, which was amazing. And I'm a 50-year-old lady, and I could tame my temper. Again, we're not here to tame or control a temper or an anger. We're here to actually let go of the underlying reasons why that anger is needed. It could be a defense mechanism, a protection system. It could be designed to keep people away, or sort of some other reason. And we never take away the anger. We enable the anger to become redundant and unnecessary. And when that's done, then that whole anger system just falls away. That crutch, that support mechanism is no longer required. So they're not controlling anything. There's less to control. I'm on the great way to be a better me, and life is much better with Richard, as I couldn't cope anymore with myself. The stress every day engulfed me. So again, she was feeling very low with herself, and it's very hard for people to communicate this, and they don't have to, because they only have to answer yes and no. And it's very nice of Minika to express herself in this review. Let's look at Debbie here. Richard has a gentle manner. He listens to everything you have to say. And it's important that you're aware that you get listened to. A lot of people don't really want to listen to your problems because they don't really know how to react to them. I get this a lot with grief, if anxiety is caused by grief and bereavement. Again, I deal with a lot of bereavement, and it's very hard for people to talk to people who have gone through a bereavement. They don't know what to say or how to handle it. And so talking to someone who knows how to talk to people who've gone through these sorts of situations in itself can be very cathartic. First session, I feel he managed to find the reason and the age my insecurity started. The techniques are gentle. As I said, they are very gentle, and when we're working with very difficult situations, you remain very peaceful and calm, and we're totally fascinating. So I love teaching, by the way, so if anyone asks questions, I am just full of the answers. I just love training people and explaining to people exactly why these techniques work and how they work, because I've been using them for such a long time. I know them inside out, and I can answer absolutely any question, as I'm also a qualified trainer, and can come away feeling enlightened, empowered, and like the world had been lifted from my shoulders. When I'm working with people, they often report that they literally feel the weight fall away. They feel physically lighter as we're letting go of the thoughts, emotions, and systems that they've used to create, that created the anxiety and the need for the anxiety. So it's really important that I mention when we're letting go of anxiety, it is a physical change. People carry anxiety in their stomach, in their shoulders, in their neck, in migraines, and all sorts of stress. And a lot of physical well-being comes about through the work we do as their stomach returns to normal, and their shoulders, and I put people, they don't need to go to the masseur anymore because the tension is no longer flowing into their neck the way a battery stores energy. And that day a friend actually commented on my positivity. So very often people don't even notice they're feeling better, and their partners or friends say, wow, you just seem different. And you go, oh yeah, because the change is from within. You're not controlling it anymore. It's not there, and people do notice the change. I can't wait for my next session, and I have the confidence a new me will be shining through. I would 100% recommend working with Richard to anyone who's consider it. So thank you very much, Debbie, for that. Right, Charlotte. So I worked with Richard over a course of 6 weeks. And just answer this call. So where was I? Oh yeah. So he really helped me overcome my fears and anxiety. He works interpersonally. What does interpersonally mean? It means when you're just working one-to-one and working at a very gentle level, and makes you feel comfortable throughout. I would recommend him to anyone who has been struggling with anxiety or phobias. Again, very often phobias and anxieties do go hand in hand. Phobias can cause anxieties. A phobia, of dogs or spiders, or a phobia of anything really causes anxiety. I had, one person who was frightened of wasps, and they started getting worried just after Christmas, because wasps will be coming in the summer, and that anxiety was building up from Christmas. So by the summer, they were in a right old state. And they swore blind to me, oh no, I never been stung by a wasp. But actually, we were able to find out that she was stung by a wasp a long time ago, through the therapy that we use. So that's Charlotte. Let's move on to the last one, which I'm Ian. I'm so glad I got in contact with Richard. He has helped me more than I thought was possible with social anxiety. So what is social anxiety? Social anxiety is when you're with more than one person, or 2 people, 3 people, and you feel you just don't want to be there. It causes anxiety. You can't think straight when you're talking. You're always analysing what you say, and you think that no one's interested in what you say. And so, you're in a situation where everyone's talking, and in the end you get to the stage where you don't even want to say anything, because you think you're going to be judged by what you say. So social anxiety is connected with a fear of being judged. And also the real reason why 80 to 90% of social anxieties occur is that they are linked to, ironically, a feeling of guilt. Why is it linked to guilt? Well, it's when you can feel guilty. You feel guilty for almost anything. You stop trusting your thoughts because you can feel guilty for it raining outside and causing a flood or something, or someone can blame you. Passive aggressive behavior can be very, very effective on people who feel vulnerable to this sort of mindset. So they avoid social situations because they don't want to be in a situation where they don't trust their thoughts, and so they tend to trust others more than their own, and they tend to feel they're dominated by the people around them, and they don't want to feel dominated, so they avoid people, and that causes a social anxiety. Anyway, I'll talk you through it in detail depending on your own individual social anxiety. He's professional and very skilled at what he does. 2 hands there. He easy to get along with too. If you've got issues that you feel are holding you back, I seriously suggest you contact him because he works wonders. That's really great. Thanks, Ian. So that's the reviews. I hope that's given you some insights into anxiety and the ability to just answer yes and no in a very gentle and relaxed way, and still deal with some really massive issues connected with anxiety, life-changing anxiety issues, and enabling you to let them go rather than control them. Thank you very much. My name is Richard Bloom.